Hey everyone, thanks for watching. In today's video, I will be showing you how to make this DIY tufted bench. It was super easy and inexpensive to make. I have been shopping around for chairs or benches for my room, and I either couldn't find what I was picturing or it was just way too expensive, so I decided to try to make one on my own. So that is what we will be doing today. Also, you can personalize it to whatever size you would like to fit your bed. When I go to make DIYs that I will be using, I always like to measure out the length and the width, so that is what we will be doing first. We are going to measure out exactly how high we want it, how long we want it to fit the bed, and everything like that. The size of the bench that I ended up making is 12 by 70 by 20, and then I like to go ahead and make a drawing so I can visually see what exactly I need to build it and where I will be putting the screws and everything like that. As usual, we will first start with everything that you need to make it. First up, we will start with the measurements for your wood. I started off with two 2x6 by 8 foot boards, 5 2x2 by 42 inches, and 4 2x2 by 8 foot strips. And I ended up cutting them into 2 2x6 by 70 inches, and this is what we will be using to sit on. I cut 4 2x2 by 66 inches, 4 2x2 by 20 inches, and then 7 2x2 by 8 inches. Everything will be listed down below in the description in case you are interested. You will also need some upholstery foam. I ended up using a 3-inch thick foam. You will also need 2.5 yards of any type of fabric of your choice. You will need some upholstery needles. I ended up using a 12-inch needle, a wood stain of your choice, and a foam brush. I used a gray color. You will need some screws, at least about 2 inches or longer, and I ended up using 22 screws total. You will need some upholstery buttons. I ended up using 10 of these. And then you will need some type of upholstery thread. I used this one, but I do not recommend you using this because it did break a lot during the DIY and it was really annoying to use. So I would recommend using something that is non-breakable. I originally thought that that's what this was. To start off, we are going to make the two sides of the bench. I am first going to take a 20-inch piece and pre-drill it on the side so that it makes it a lot easier to drill in our screws. So I'm going to pre-drill it on the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to place it on its side and pre-drill it through the 8-inch pieces. And then I'm going to take my screws and screw it right in. As you can see, there's already a hole pre-made because we did pre-drill it. So this will just make it a lot easier to screw in. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing for the other end of our bench. Take two 20-inch pieces and screw the two 8-inch pieces on the top and the bottom. Once we've done that, we are going to attach our 66-inch pieces on the top and the bottom. So first I'm pre-drilling just like I did all of the other screws, and then just drilling the screws right in. I'm going to repeat that for the bottom 66-inch pieces as well. And then taking the other end that we already made, we are going to pre-drill and screw that in as well. This is what you will be left with. Next up, we are going to prepare the top part of the bench. So I'm taking my two 2x6 by 70-inch boards and laying them side by side on top of the foam. Then I'm just going to take a box cutter and cut the foam out. So I'm basically just going to continue cutting until I've cut all the way through, and then you are able to just pull the foam apart. I also decided to use 3 pieces of our 2x2 by 8 inches and putting them in the middle just to add as a support for the top part of our bench. So I'm first pre-drilling it on either end and then drilling some screws in. And then once we have everything all screwed together, we're going to go ahead and stain our bench. Every stain is a little bit different, but this one you wait about 15 minutes and then you go back in and you wipe all of the excess stain off. And then I let it dry overnight, and now we are going to finish up the top part of the bench. So I'm first marking where I want all of my buttons on the top. I ended up putting them about 6.5 inches from the end and then 14 inches apart. And then I'm going back in and centering all of the marks. Then we're going to take our drill and pre-drill some holes just to make it easier to line up where the buttons go. Also, I have the foam underneath, so I am pushing the drill all the way through so that it does make a hole on the foam as well. Then I'm going to remove the wood and just make the holes a lot bigger in the foam. This is all just going to make it easier when we go to tuft the top part of the bench. If you have issues along the way, no big deal. DIYs never end up perfect. You always run into problems, and that shouldn't intimidate you. As you can see, I had issues of my own. Is this for real right now? I purchased 2 yards of fabric, and as you can see, that obviously did not fit at all. So I did end up having to run to the store to get some fabric. Also, a part of my frame didn't line up perfectly. This is something that I knew that I could work with, but when Richard saw it, this was his reaction.
Whoa, yeah. What is this?
Don't, please.
Okay. It's horrible.
The cushion's gonna be on top of that.
Who cares? I just don't have to see it then.
So like I said, if you run into a problem, don't let it intimidate you. Just find a solution and you will be good to go. So now that I got the correct size fabric, you do want to leave a few inches over the edge so that you have enough to wrap it around the bottom. So I'm going to flip the fabric upside down, put the foam upside down, and both boards upside down as well, because the way you are looking at it right now will end up being the bottom part of the bench. So what I'm going to do is wrap the fabric as tight as possible and begin using the staple gun and stapling it on the back. You want to be sure you're pulling it as tight as you can to be sure that there's no wrinkles on the front once you're finished. Also, you want to staple it close to the edge so that we can see the holes that we pre-drilled, since that's where the needle will be going in and out. So once you cut off all of the excess, I went ahead and took the pre-drill and made my holes a lot bigger just so that they were easier to work with. And now I am taking my button, I'm putting some thread right through it, and then I'm going to take the needle and stick both ends into the needle and pull it all the way through. Then you want to stick the needle through the hole in the wood and push it all the way through until it makes a hole through the fabric. Put it through the bottom part and pull it through as tight as possible, and then you just want to staple gun that down and cut off the excess thread. I hope that made sense. I will be showing y'all a few more times how to do that step. We're just feeding the thread through the button, both ends of the thread through the needle, and then pushing the needle through the wood, through the foam, through the fabric. Then once it makes a hole, you want to pull it out and then push it through the other end so that the button is on the bottom. You do want to pull it really taut. That way it does make that wrinkled, tufted look on the top of the bench. And once you're done adding all of your buttons, you are done with this DIY. So that is all for my DIY tufted bench. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye guys.